of Ramana's favorite texts was the Rahasya, Rahasya, Tripura Rahasya? Tripura Rahasya, maybe it was, or not. And it speaks about being a jnani. What is a jnani? What is a realized being? There are 3 different states. That one can have an experience of falling away, yet the mind reroots. Therefore, they can speak about it, they can talk about it, it can sound very convincing, but they've rerooted back into a persona. Therefore, one cannot even say that that's enlightenment. Okay? That's not enlightenment. Okay? The second is that one is so fully immersed in that really they are not cognizant of the world. They're not functioning so well in the world. They're just in sitting meditation all the time. That's the second type. The best type is one that's a nirvikalpa sahaj samadhi. One is immersed in the absolute. There is no longer the mind play. It's effortless. One is fully functional in the world. That's the enlightened state of being. Okay? It doesn't come and go. Doesn't come and go. If there's still persona, then at most you've had a glimpse, but there's no enlightenment. It's not an enlightened state. There's either enlightened or not. Either it's realization or not. Okay, so until all falls away, the mind is still. Doesn't mean you can't use the mind if needed, but there are no more running thoughts. Persona does not reassert itself. Until that takes place, it's not enlightenment. There are so many things happening in that organization now, it's very sad to see. Very, very sad to see. People are in confusion. They don't know whether to follow Kalki or to follow the ones that have left. A lot of backpedaling is being done. Now he's saying, well, this money and spirituality don't mix. Well, now that he's wealthy, got all the properties, got all the, now they're saying, well, they can teach it, but out of their own experience. So what you're going to have is a lot of the blind leading the blind. What is going to be the benefit of that for anyone? People are thinking they're enlightened, they're not enlightened. And it's a very great deception. There are many times along the path where you get glimpses and you think you may be enlightened. Or like when Kundalini first starts, when you start seeing the lights, then you think I'm enlightened. So many different steps along the path one could think they're enlightened. because you don't know the difference. You don't know what's the difference is when everything falls away and there is none. Oneness can be very attractive. Oneness can feel like enlightenment because you don't have anything else other to judge it on. And when one is in that bliss state and seeing, oh, there's just the divine, and the divine is in everyone, and we're all equal, and it's all one can mistake that for enlightenment. Because one feels so expanded. And it's just that bliss. And you could say, I'm no longer suffering, but this is like a drug. It's not enlightenment. Yes?
One other thing along those lines is Kalki also equated the Kundalini being up with one being enlightened in that enlightened state. And when it was down, then one was not. That was another thing that he mentioned.
Yeah, one gets all trapped on chakras, and it needs to be up in the top, and it needs to be this and that, and, you know. No, what needs to take place is that one is blown out. Nirvana, Nibbana. One has to be blown out. Okay. The mental trauma, the mental conditionings have to be blown out. Kundalini is the consciousness that's enfolded on itself and going through this process. Don't worry about where you're feeling it in the body, whatever. Okay, don't get caught up in chakras and this and that and all these other things. It's a journey of consciousness. Okay, that's all. That's all. They're also claiming that the path, Kalki's path, is psychology with spirituality. What the heck does psychology with spirituality have anything to do with being blown out of conditioned mind? Psychology is all about the conditioned mind. It's about understanding the conditioned mind, about bringing conditioned mind into a better state. It's not about blowing out conditioned mind. It has nothing to do with that. So how you can claim that a path is about spirituality merged with psychology, and it has anything to do with taking one to enlightenment is beyond me. You know, it's beyond the understanding how one could claim that. Most psychology is based on purely the mental ramblings of the human condition. It really needs to go through a whole change. The world of psychology. It's based on a lot of false premises, much of it. So it really needs to go through some radical changes as well. But the spiritual path goes beyond psychology. The spiritual path is to take one in consciousness and to strip it bare of any conditionings. Okay? To take one prior to persona, prior to conditionings. Not to use psychology to figure out the conditionings and to rationalize them.